For the commercial bread, here are the ingredients, and I am going to start weighing all the ingredients using my scale. Remember, don't use the spring scale if you want to get the accurate result for this bread. Now the flour I am measuring now is 1 kg, which is 1000 grams, and I have poured it into the mixing bowl. The sugar also is going to be 120 grams. And I've also added it to the flour in the mixing bowl. The salt that I am going to be using is supposed to be 16 grams. And I've also added it to the mixing bowl. And the butter we are using is 20 grams. And I'm also adding it there. If you notice very well, this is pure commercial bread. It does not require much to bake. Now I'm going to be using 6 grams of yeast. And the funniest thing about this 6 grams is that it's not up to 1 tablespoon. That is to say, 6 grams is almost half of 1 tablespoon because yeast does not have much weight. And I'm going to be adding it. Okay, let's check it out. Let me just put the tablespoon so that you see what I'm talking about. So you see, I have to keep removing until it will give you 6 grams. You go ahead and add it to the mixture. We're using only 6 grams to bake a whole 1000 grams. That is how cheap commercial bread can be. Just make sure that your yeast is active. You can see when I want to save my yeast, I normally tighten it very well, place it in a nylon, tighten the nylon, and then place it again into a container and then cover the container. When you're pouring your yeast, make sure you don't pour it on top of the salt, as the salt can easily destroy the yeast, as yeast is a living agent. So now you mix a little with your mixer, as this will help all the ingredients to incorporate very well. And you are doing this on a low speed, don't forget, so that it will not splash all over. So after this, we are going to be measuring our liquid while the mixer is still mixing our ingredients. And for our water, we are going to be adding 600 grams of water. Now, immediately after adding everything, the next thing you are going to be adding is your flavor. And for the flavor, I have used banana flavor. Banana flavor is mostly used for commercial bread. And for this recipe, flavor is still optional. It is not compulsory, you must use it. Now I'll mix it for 5 minutes and then I'll add my flavor. And after adding my flavor, I will mix for another 5 minutes. Take note, you have a total 10 minutes from the time you have increased the speed. Okay, you have just a total 10 minutes from the time you have increased the speed, and the speed is increased immediately after water. After water is added, and now I have added my banana flavor, and I will whip again for another 5 minutes. Now take note, your speed starts immediately you add your water. You whip a little to incorporate the water to avoid splash, and then you increase it and whip for 10 minutes. First 5 minutes, you add your banana flavor, and after the next 5 minutes, you are done. So now you generously apply your butter on your pan. This time you don't have to apply it as if you're baking a cake. You apply it in such a way that the butter will actually be showing. You have to be generous about it. And for this bread, I am using our locally made pan. And for the total dough, I am dividing it into 2 equal parts for this particular bread pan. And my mixer has done everything it's supposed to do on the dough. All I need to do now is to sprinkle a little flour on the work table so that it will not be sticking too much. A very little, don't forget. I am not supposed to sprinkle flour, only that I don't want it to stick to the table. So what do you do next? You take a measurement of the total dough, which is 1,735 grams, and divide it into 2. Because you have to divide it equally among the 2 pans, and it gave me 867.5 grams. Now you can decide to put 867 in one and 868 in the other pan, or you can decide to put 867 and 867, and then the other one you divide it into 2 to give you half, which is 0.5. So I had to measure to be sure that they are equally divided, just like I said. Now I do this if I want the bread to come out equally. You can actually divide and use, but if you know you want to make an equal bread, division is very, very vital. So now mold your dough on top of a floored surface into your desired shape, although it all depends on the kind of pan you are going to use. As you are molding, make sure you are sealing up the joint area. Okay, seal up the joint area, and after that you have to generously apply butter on the dough and then place it into the pan. Okay, the same thing I'm going to do with the other one. After molding and sealing, I will apply butter and then into the next pan, and then I'm going to set it aside to prove for 2 hours. And this is the result. At this point, I just on my oven. I actually want my oven to start getting hot from when I place my bread, because the hotness also helps improving the bread the more. And then I position my bread, and after about 30 minutes to 35 minutes, remember I wasn't baking this on a very serious heat. At first my heat was high. Immediately it got to 15 minutes, I reduced my heat, and immediately it becomes 30 minutes, my bread is ready. Now remove the bread with oven gloves, not with towel like I did here. It's risky, it can burn your hand. This is the right way. With your oven glove, just remove it and your bread is ready. Though I still have other bread in the oven, but this particular one is the one I am teaching. I have the covered pan bread that I have previously made also. So now the next, you just rub your butter, salted butter, on top of the bread if you want it to shine, although this is optional. Okay, so this is our baked bread. Use exactly the measurement and you are there. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next class.